Welcome, guys. Welcome to Vondalco TV. Today we're going to talk about, in fact, we're going to reflect on the 2024 presidential election. And with me today is Lerone Brown and Sydney.
Hello.
And
Thanks for having me here.
hello. And I might be the first woman to say to you guys that I hear you. And when I say I hear you, what I mean is that you definitely got your message out loud and clear through the election results. Uh, it's very true that men of color in the United States have been neglected for a long time and not heard. And what y'all did on election night, you really kicked booty. That's all I have to say. So I have to admit, I have been listening to y'all, but I really hadn't heard y'all. I hear you now. I really do. And I do understand why you voted for Trump. It has nothing to do with being a sexist, gender thing. It had everything to do with who was listening to you, and you feel that he'll be a better advocate for you, and you'll do better under Trump than the Democrats. Because for a long time, the Democrats have not been listening, and they've been taking us for granted. And basically, Kamala did the same thing that Hillary did. She didn't really listen. She didn't go out and talk to the people about policies. She did a lot of talking about Trump instead of what we really needed. So it's been a big surprise. A lot of people are just in their corner. They don't know where to go and they're in shock. I'm not in shock, basically, because I knew it could go either way. But what I got from it is that all of the men of color came out and voted for Trump because they needed someone to finally listen to them. And you really think that you're going to have a better life or, economically better opportunities under Trump than the Democrats. The Democrats really have lost their way with us. So I applaud y'all, and I just want to say again, I hear you. So Lerone, you want to
Well, thank
start
you.
and tell me? You're welcome.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Thank you for that. I've been nagging you the whole time ever since the presidential election started, where it was to have the two candidates, and people got to understand we've been under Trump's presidency, and so we know what he brings. Okay. Um, when you have a situation where we're the man, we get out there just like me. You know that I'm active duty. We go out there and we fight, right? And then to have somebody come in and say, "So I don't think we have any soldiers that's out there," when the soldiers that was out there saying, "What are we doing here then?" You know, it's just kind of like a slap. And then the stuff that we see. So people get upset with how you see things, right? And it's okay. Um, but if the message is true, it's the same as if somebody told you to pull your head out of the window or a pole gonna smack you or put your freaking head out of the window before you get smacked. You're gonna argue with them or you're gonna pull your head in the window. Sometimes we do see things that the common community doesn't see, uh, especially for me. Um, the things that was affecting us was you had a mass illegal immigration, and people get illegal immigration fooled by people that's coming in for asylum, right? Asylees, right? And the thing about that is there is a way to do it. And you say just the black man, it was the Hispanic. They got out there in large numbers, and this is one of the reasons being that they had went the right way. And then a lot of times it takes up to 10 years. There's some people that I just want to just bring over here. If I could have just walked them over here, hey, I would have had them. But we can't do that because it affects everybody else. Even with housing prices, you got shelter for immigrants that didn't come through the right way, then the rent's going high, inflation, then we have to pay for them because they're getting the same benefits that citizens of low income would get. You know what I mean? Uh, so when we talked about immigration and we talked about the economy uh, under his first election, and I've experienced this and I've shared this with you, has been great. Uh, and I also would say, no matter how the event went, whether it went right or whether it went left, I would still serve honorably. I've served under many different presidencies. I've served under Bush. I've served under Obama. I've served under Joe Biden and Trump. You know, so I've got a fair share of serving under both candidates, Democrat and Republican. Um, and then I hear people that talk about something like a threat to democracy. The reason why I don't too much pay attention to that fake news is because democracy, you don't have one person of that much power. That's the reason why you got the three branches of government. So that prevents anyone from having that much power. So I don't worry about when people talk about dictatorship because we have law that's under the Constitution that says that can never be because you're going to have the House and Senate, Congress. You know, those branches they have to work. That's how laws get passed anyway. It's because they have to go through the House, Congress, and then the legislative branch, just an executive branch. You know, and the judiciary. It has to go through those three. So you don't worry about dictatorship because you have those in play to prevent that from happening. And I think that if you have the American people that were, knowledgeable of that, then they can hear what you're really talking about. When you hear what the president is really talking about, then you can make decisions on how you can take out things that benefit you and put it to play. So whether it was Trump that got into office, I was already looking at the ways of benefiting, which we've already seen. As soon as his name's called and he's the next president, things start going good for me already from all the investment accounts, etc. But if it was Kamala, then I have to look at more in the medical field because her advocacy was to people who's having sex changes and stuff like that. And then I would have to also prepare for like if the possibility of us going to fight in these wars overseas. I have friends from overseas that was contacting me. It was worried. Uh, and they really shot me a message. Hey, you was over here. What do you think about this? Are you guys gonna help us? And the overall picture of military, I'm the underdog. I need to know information. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, but you have a lot of
because
polluted information too, you know, a lot of
yeah,
polluted information because uh, majority of majority of Americans are basically get their news from social media instead of the traditional networks. And of course, it's not facts checked. And you just have a handful of billionaires that actually own, social media sites, and they have their own agenda, so they put out their own information. So I think that had a lot to do with how the election results. Okay, very interesting.
I will have to ask a question about that. Um,
Hmm.
there was one time at one point where we did watch, your main news outlets. What changed? You got to think. First of all, they bought out those news outlets just to favor certain political parties because at was one point when I was growing up, I would see, on a network, it would say um, either against or for presidency, but on the other side, it would say against or for the opposite president. It was equal. You can find both candidates' campaign running on the same network. Then what happens is they bought out. So now you've seen a certain network favors one candidate and you don't hear anything about the other except bad news. So it was kind of divisive. So people couldn't just watch one source and kind of get a little bit of both good, bad about both candidates. It was kind of like one side is so deeply in favor of and the other side is so deeply not. You independents the ones the media outlets that came out where people say, hey, look, I am for this candidate, but I'm gonna tell you what's going on. Really, they can actually be honest about it. I'm for this, I'm not for this, and on the other side I am for this and I'm not for this. So you get kind of a better unbiased presentation when you watch independents.
Yeah, but
And that's what
they're not fact checked, you know.
but fact check has
Um,
been also proven to not be factual as well. There was, if you even look at the last presidential debate when he went against Kamala and she was saying all the stuff that has already been debunked and fact checked to be false news, they let it play out. It became bias even in the fact checking system. So then people had to create an independent where it's like, okay, this is what actually happened versus what this says. So fact check was also being fact checked in the course of the past 4 years. There's many examples I can give. I'll just have to send that to you, the receipts, a
yeah,
little
but
bit
on
later.
social media, majority of the information is not fact checked because they don't have any
Hmm.
standards, such as traditional TV. And since really this election was won via social media, um,
Mhm.
I'm thinking that again, like I said, you just have a handful of billionaires that actually own social media and they put out their own agenda. So it's going to be interesting, you know.
Yeah, and I have to say this too. I have to say this too. With that being said, you also remember that President-elect has also been canceled out of a lot of the social medias in the past 4 years. Um,
Mhm.
they took him off. They didn't want to hear anything, so he was canceled off most of the social platforms. And you got to wonder why is that when your freedom of speech is, a very important thing. That's within the First Amendment. So you talk about freedom of speech and then you canceling somebody because they see views different from you. I think that people are actually starting to pay attention to that too, as well. Another reason why more went to independent sources
I
because
think we would
you
have paid
can't.
attention to anyone who was saying that there's going to put more money in our pockets. You know,
Mhm.
it's definitely an economic thing. Definitely feeling the strain. Everyone is feeling the strain.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
again, neither one of them really talked about any policies. But what Trump did talk about, he talked about putting money in your pocket. Bringing the jobs back from overseas, which is definitely has affected our economy and the morale of our blue collar workers.
mhm.
So yeah, I can see why he won. I didn't expect it to be a landslide, but it was definitely a landslide. Okay,
I'll tell you one thing.
absolutely.
Somebody was lying and it wasn't being fact
Yes,
checked with all those polling numbers. So that's the reason why
yes,
people was like fact checking ain't fact checking. Something ain't no
yeah,
math ain't. Yeah.
yeah,
Because that landslide, I didn't even expect it because for so long they were saying it was so close. So in my mind, it's like I know who I want, but I got to prepare for if, I got to go through another 4 years, kind of similar to this
yeah.
one. And the opportunities would have still been there, but it's just which one. When Biden went into presidency, I focused on natural energy, clean energy, because that was one of the things their campaigns with electric cars and all that stuff. I focused on there. That didn't make me much, but I did go there because that was what they were talking about up to,
Right.
and getting voted in. But yeah,
And believe it or not, a lot of women voted for Trump because again, it wasn't about the abortion; it was about economics. You
mhm,
know, and not and of course, as far as men is concerned, was they like I said, your voice had not been heard for a long time, and this gender thing, or should I say transgender thing, is a big deal. Not just with men, but with women too, but more so with men. And I think with Kamala's running mate, he had a lot of good attributes, but he didn't really hone in on those. Okay. Just by him being a coach and stuff, he could have basically just embraced men, period,
yeah,
with his different subjects and stuff, but he didn't. And a
mhm,
lot of the campaign was really about who was going to tear down who first.
yeah,
Again, we didn't hear any policies. Again, with the Democrats, didn't actually reach all the people, only dealing with the elites, whereas Trump just went everywhere. He is the billionaire and he went everywhere. Okay.
yeah. But did you
So
know the Kamala campaign actually spent more than he did?
I can believe it. They had all the
Yeah. So
stars,
yeah,
you know.
exactly. So they spent more than that. Now, let me ask you, if a person really believes in what they're speaking, do you have to pay them to speak out about it? Because a lot of people on the social media was doing it for free. If I
What
got
well yeah,
paid $1 million,
yeah.
you know, and the money's coming from, taxpayers, per se, uh, I don't think it would have cost me to get up there and say anything. I don't think it cost Trump to pay Elon to get up there and speak. I think he spoke from the heart, and that was the difference. So they had actually spent more money on the other side trying to get people that I feel that don't represent us to the best of this ability. They don't feel the things that we feel when it comes out to going out shopping, having to afford food, housing prices, the bills, etc. They don't feel those effects. So how can we relate to somebody that entertains an already multimillionaire where they don't even know the price of butter, you know? So I
Yeah, but
think
they're
if
really
we
not
had,
they're really not going to gain from Trump being a president per se. Elon Musk will. because, he has all of his entities and a lot of them are intertwined with the government and stuff. And now he's inside the government. Oh my God, you know, he becomes a favor, you
You know
know.
that Elon was
So,
Democratic before he went over to Republic, right?
well, he still have companies that's intertwined with the government. So, regardless of whether he was Democrat or Republican, the fact that he is with Trump, that gives him more favor, with his contracts and stuff. I'm just looking at it from that standpoint. What do you think,
Yeah,
Sydney?
but then he would say Mark Zuckerberg and all the rest of them that was also collabing would be more on that side too, then wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because they were more on the Democratic Party, they focus more on that the Democratic Party. But Elon is one of the few many that supported Trump.
Hmm.
You know, that's in the billionaire range.
Right. What about you, Sydney? What do you think?
Yeah, the whole thing has just been streamlined, and I believe, there are a lot of factors in question that has taken into place. The election was not just a surprise; it wasn't a surprise to anybody because Trump has been there before. He knows exactly
Mhm.
what is obtainable. He knows exactly what to do, and to bring, the economy into a kind of a more bigger picture. There are a lot of spectral analysis. From inception that probably he might not get into the box. But looking at the whole thing, will I just say some of the factors in question that really played out well was, the odds or the negative aspect was playing against the Democrat. If you look at the whole
Mhm.
thing, right from the inception that Biden got into the position, it has always been from one war to another, and the economy is gradually dwindling
Yeah,
under his watch. And if you look at it properly, most of the Americans in question are not getting exactly what they need to get because the mass influx of people that has been, outnumbered in question. There, some of the immigrants, that came in right
Right.
here, how to outnumber the citizens themselves. And so when that happens, it tells a very big, it's a kind of a very big problem into the economic status of the country. And once the economy start having a kind of imbalance, it creates that vacuum. For a kind of for reasoning and for everybody to shake up and see exactly how to do to save the boat from sinking.
Hmm.
Yeah, Biden in question from inception. He has a kind of a good start. When he started an inception, we thought, he's going to give us a kind of a facelift. Take America to the next level. But within the,
Hmm.
before this, the quarter of the year, we saw a kind of a steep decline in all the things in question, all the plans that has been made, put in place. For him to, step upon and carry on, were all reversed. So it's a kind of a process. That one has to look at it and consider the people first, the Americans first, comes first before any other thing. Yes, we
Yeah.
understand exactly that. Yes, Harris came into the picture at a very late age. Probably people are kind of putting out there that she didn't have enough time, to amass or to air up exactly her view to gain a lot of
Hmm.
people, on her side. But we can look at exactly the projectile. We look about the projectile of exactly what is happening and what the vision they have. If they have to be given the second time, we can understand that exactly that we are more going to sink into the whole thing rather than keeping afloat. We understand, yes. Harris, have played a very bigger picture in question. In terms of, political, getting into, the world of politics in America. But she has kept a clean slate. She knows exactly what to do. But the time pace in question was not given down to her. But what I say to myself, the problem of America now, irrespective of gender analysis, could not be handled by somebody who is in that shoes. We need more tougher person in question like Trump, who has been in the system, who understands exactly what the system is all about, and who knows
Yes.
exactly what to eat. He's a businessman. He knows how to
Hmm.
resurrect and bring the business into fold. When somebody's a businessman, he knows exactly what to do. To make back exactly what America used to be. I'm not, yeah, it is true that, yes, in terms of politics in question, it depends on your affiliation. But at this point in time, we're not talking about affiliation. We're talking about how America is going to be great again. How America is used to be exactly one of the top-notch countries that people will vie and yell for. But if you come into the system now, the whole thing is flooded. And
Yeah.
having flooded the system, it's going to take a long time for you to bring it back to shape again. A lot of country has gone into a kind of a bad shape because of exactly the mass of flooding immigrant has gone into the country, messed up the whole system. And when you mess
Mm.
up the whole system, it takes you a long time for you to, bring it back to life again. To rejuvenate the aspect in question takes a lot of effort. And if you have to allow the effort of what you have planned from years back to dwindle or to go into a kind of a steep dive, it's going to be very difficult. For America to resurrect if something is not being done around.
That's a good point. All of
Yeah,
your points were good. Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
absolutely. So you
Mhm.
think that Trump is the one, the Republican Party, that they'll bring us back? I know it's going to take time, so it definitely is going to depend who's going to follow Trump. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, my own opinion. Just like Leron had just said. Trump, yeah, for now he's the saving grace. He is the only person that could bring us out from this situation. People are only looking into one aspect. What are the aspects people are looking at? They are only, looking at one aspect of his, statement of mass deportation. You understand what I'm saying? That aspect has overflowed the internet system. It has overflowed all the Facebook system. All they talk about is mass deportation. He's going to deport us. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. But I want to make you understand something. If you have something to offer to United States, all right, and they see that you are genuinely having something to offer to the citizen in the country in question, I don't think the odds. I don't think that should be a problem according to you. It has to be a mass deportation, which he has said is a statement being laid out, but that is not the major emphasis that Americans are looking into. There are more broader picture of exactly what they need to do to bring out to live in the burden of the country in question is so vast that things have to be done as quickly as possible before things goes out of hand. So the issue of deportation in question, yes, he might be having it in one of his agendas, but I don't think that is the major onus. I don't think that is the major broad. The broad spectrum of analysis of the whole thing has been overflowed. I guess you
Hmm.
understand what I'm saying. So if you look at, this administration, Trump will not go into, I don't think, as intelligent as he is, he will not get into the position and said, let me start deporting people immediately. That is not his main focus. That is
Right.
not his main priority. I think the priority lies to the fact that he has to fix a lot of things, which has gone a little bit bad, during the Biden, position. So that is going to be his major focus. The issue of deportation might be something he's going to consider. All right. And there is a lot of stance in question that has to stand with that. He cannot just wake up in the morning and knock at your door and keep winning you out and taking you out of the United States of America. There are a lot of laws guiding that. And I believe United States
We'll see.
is some laws that.
That
Exactly.
is the conversation. We'll see. A lot of people
Yeah,
think he will be able to do that, you know.
I
So we'll
think
see.
when it comes to like getting rid deporting the mass deportation he's talking about, his biggest focus is the ones that committed crime to start with. He's made it clear that the ones that was causing harm, dealing drugs, doing the crime, will be the first one. Some maybe even go on the death row before they. But when it comes to like the priorities, it is mass deportation with those felons, crimes of illegal immigrants, and then it's like stopping the war that's going on with Ukraine and Russia, and stopping the Hamas, Israel. Uh, so
And
we
how
have
is he going
world
to do that? That's a lot of
negotiation power.
diplomacy.
So it's the same thing, right? The reason he was able to even get terror started in the first place, even with China, was because of negotiation powers. Everybody wants something. Some country has something that we may have the sources for that they don't have. It's just like when it comes to North Korea, they've been a communist dictator country forever, right? They also need resources, So when Kim Jong Un opened up talking about, hey, look, I want to work with certain other nations, it's because they need resources. Resources cost, okay, and that's how you do it. That's negotiation power. What do we have that you want, or you know, what even if you have what we want, do we want to do business with you? That's what it is. Um, Trade overall helps the world, not just the country. Trade overall, because everybody have better products. If you look into your grocery stores or you look into your shopping centers, it's made in China, made in Canada, made from different parts of the world. So we have trade. Trade is the common denominator. Okay, and it's always been that. So negotiate. Okay, that's how I think he would stop that. Or
Yeah, but if he raised tariffs, we're going to have to pay more as a taxpayer.
if you raise tariffs, no, if you raise tariffs, the tariffs are being charged from the country that's bringing the product in. The product itself would be increased if we was to purchase the product, right? But if we have more
Hmm.
companies made in America, then those made in America products would be more cheaper and affordable. Okay, so in order to balance it, because you have certain countries that doesn't buy American made products, in fact, but they sell an abundance of their products, right? So it's like why is, and then not to mention we have these big industries that go over there, and they go over there because it's cheaper to make it, cheaper labor, this, that, and the other, so they can make more money. But it doesn't do no good for the American people. Tariffs basically focus on getting those countries that making these trades, especially those who don't buy back, um, to pay more into it. It's just like that's what it does. So that product, yeah, it will have an effect once it comes in, because you know the businesses are meant to make money. So those specific products will increase, right? Also, it makes it because people buy choice. Like if you're a multimillionaire, you don't give a dang how much certain things cost. You're gonna buy it anyway, right? If you can't afford it, I guess you're gonna wait till you can afford it if you really want it that bad.
Right.
I think it's gonna do great good because we also have lots of farmers in here. If you think about when it comes to food, we have lots of farmers in the United States. Okay, so you know when we help deal with that situation, you know, it will make food products, you know, that's grown and bred in the US come down a bit. You know, so tariffs is a good thing. Uh, if it's used properly. Tariffs can be a bad thing if not used properly, but tariffs is a way to get other countries to pay their fair share. That's pretty much what it is. And it holds
Okay.
negotiation powers because we can say, hey, we're not going to do business with you. We're not going to use our, you know, we're not going to use our service for it to help you support you if you're not going to help support us, or, you know, and that's how that works.
Good. So you're looking forward and you're excited with the Trump presidency.
I'm very
You
excited
feel
for the
that,
Trump presidency. Very
okay.
excited because I'm a little bit of an insider. I can see some things, not all things, but I can get firsthand see in certain things, and you know this.
Hmm.
Um, Also, I did want a question I wanted to ask you and Mr. Sidney here. Do you think we will ever have a female president? Me personally, I think we will. I think in the future, color won't matter. We won't have this rhetoric about this is a black woman, white woman. It doesn't matter. I think we will, because I've seen in the elections, and especially in the past decades, where we have a lot more candidates willing to run of all different nationalities, race, color, and creed, but that represents America
That will always
and
that will
Texas.
always matter. Race will always matter in America. And I'm not gonna even be naive or just, naive to think that that will go away. It's inbred, it's inbred in the culture, and it's not going away. So that's always going to be a definitive, what the person is, who the person is, what their makeup is. That's always going to be a factor. Now, whether or not they win, that's something different, but race is always a factor in America. How do you feel about that, Sydney?
No, I agree with you. I mean that cannot be taken away. I mean
Can't be taken away.
the whole thing is very glaring. I mean, if you the factorial is very simple. I mean, we understand and we've seen exactly how it has played. It has given a kind of a negative vibes to the feminine folks. And looking at it in question, I mean, I try to ask myself. I mean, that's a very simple question and question you have to put to play. I mean, having a female president at this dire moment in question, I mean, might not really look good for, I mean, the economic situation of United States. I'm not saying that female president is not visible. I'm not saying they cannot handle exactly what the present economic situation is right now, but I'm just looking at it. I mean, there are a lot of factors in question that has to go with having a first female president. Not only the color, not only the race, not only the culture that plays there, a lot of undertone. And looking at the undertone, I mean, it gives you that I view that, I mean, for a will to be a female president of the United States of America in the future, not in the now, right? Might be a kind of it might take some time, but I mean, for something to be able to for you to establish that, I mean, that we should have a kind of a baseline which you need to work on. I mean, when Clinton came out, I mean, first time, I mean, Clinton's wife came out the first time against Biden, against Trump,
Hillary,
the first time.
yes.
I mean, I said it within myself. I said, no, there's no way. I mean, a female is going to get into that position because, I mean, there are a lot of things at stake now to clear up. You need to clear up your tailboard. I'm not saying that feminine folks don't know exactly how to lead. I'm not saying they don't have what it takes or the zeal to lead. But in question, there's a lot of things in question that has to be put to place. And when Harris came up on board again, I said, oh, okay, again, Harris again. That is another blow again. And looking at it
Does
in
she have too
question,
many? Yeah.
yeah, it
Oh,
was
yeah,
it was culturally, I mean, it was a white person. I mean, we talk about the race, the culture, the tradition, this issue of a kind of gender suppression is still right there in the United States. And we need to make sure we put it to a kind of in abeyance. We need to, I mean, cut the whole thing out because it doesn't really play out that way. You might look at it that she's a female, she might not be able to do the job, but she can do the job much better than a male. But looking at this whole thing, I mean, at this point in time, we have a lot of war looming up and down. I mean, a lot of things in question has to put to play. I don't think it's the right time for a female president to come into the United States and to do anything about it because now it's all about survival of the fittest. I mean, you need to get yourself out of the ditch. So, I mean, it gets so boring and so there, the consequence is going to be so there if a female president has to go in there to see exactly how she can match up with the masculine folks. I mean, that might not
right,
really be a little bit visible. I mean,
right.
the projection or the project in question might I kind of, I mean, not have a headway. So Trump being there, I think, I mean, we believe he's going to give us a facelift. We believe he's going to, I mean, there's kind of going to be a kind of a dramatic turnaround of events. I mean, basically the economic status and basically the inhabitants of the United States of America will start enjoying exactly what they've been enjoying before. You know, the other days, if you have somebody that blue passport and travel anywhere in the world, you're being respected. But if you go to anywhere, sometimes these days you don't get respected about that because a lot of things have been taken away. A lot of, I mean,
Yeah,
things have been taken away. You feel, I mean, you're living as an alien in your own country. I guess you understand. Because things have been flooded, things have been messed up. And when things get messed up in such situation, I mean, it becomes so difficult to bring it back to full. I mean, you have to look at the pros and cons. So we do not
hmm,
factor into those aspects before we bring in female president on board again. That was exactly
right.
what the whole owner's lies.
You need the boys to fight it out first, straighten it
Absolutely.
out. Okay.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and Trump is like playing poker. You never know what he's going to do. Okay. Which is appropriate for today's world and today's leaders. So a lot of them fear him because they don't know what he's going to do because he plays by his own rules, you know. So yeah. So I
No,
have to agree. This is his time.
you're very correct. I mean, sometimes, I mean, people, I mean, I got a lot of people DM me and say, okay, what do you think about Trump? Don't you think he's a dictatorship? Don't you think he's somebody that is so arrogant? And I say, okay, listen, let me explain something to you about Trump. Donald Trump in question, his attitude might look a little bit outward to you, but he goes according to the book. He goes according to exactly what people are expected. Because in this world now, if you don't go in a more stronger, if you don't have that big heart to go in there to fight it out, I mean, you're never going to win. And it
Yeah.
takes a real man to stand his ground. So he's somebody
Yeah.
that's well respected. He's somebody that you don't predict exactly what's going to do in the next few seconds. He can come in there and dramatically change everything around. And whatever
Yeah.
he says, mark it to the books. He does it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now I have to agree with him. Let me add this right here. Remember how he said when he becomes president-elect, he's going to try to stop them wars before he even get into office?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to look at the news media about those same wars that's going on and what they're saying. They're trying to stop it before
Yeah,
he
because they
gets.
don't know what he's gonna do.
Yeah, and that's the
Yeah,
beautiful thing. That's
yeah.
that's the beautiful thing. And then like
Unpredictable.
you have some people that says, well, he got to talk directly to Putin. He's talked to Putin already. So
Mm-hmm.
Putin have an idea. And
Yeah.
so, but like that, you see all these little peace trees trying to be formed now that he's not even in office yet. You see people slowly, the numbers has very much dwindled when they're crossing the border right now than ever before. So, still people trying to sneak their way, but it's not nearly as abundant and plain and obvious as it was before. So a
You know
lot of
what
stuff
else is amazing?
was that.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Listening to the UN on NATO and stuff, the countries that have not really given their share or participated, they are
Hmm.
now participating. They now
Yeah,
got the bank. Okay.
yeah.
And
Which
I was
and
like,
yeah,
oh, okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that helped us in the long run because now we don't have to spend all the extra money for that. Now we have other countries coming in to help out, which is
Mhm.
supposed to be that way, especially when we go
Right.
around, we're sitting here working and training with each other, put in your fair share, you know? And, I know the economy is different per country, but it's the same thing as in here in the US where, South Carolina is not, maybe not be as expensive as California. So, we know how to, average things, you know what I mean? As far as costing. But
And Sydney, how is his presidency going to affect your country? I'm sorry,
Well,
Yaron.
yes, looking at exactly the country where I come from, basically Nigeria, we all understand exactly what is played out there.
Hmm.
It's not been a very fruitful governance. I mean, the whole thing has taken a kind of a backlash. We've seen our leaders, I mean, getting into what we understand. I mean, that does not portray or does not legally constitute to the existence of what why we are being united as in Nigeria, because this whole thing has been taken away. So, I mean, Trump presidency in question might really, I mean, a kind of might really help to, I mean, see exactly how best, I mean, things can be proper kind of a remedial action might be, I mean, put to place in question on how to, I mean, combat some certain things in my country that has to do with a lot of terrorist activities. I mean, corruptions, which are which are
Hmm.
major things in question that have been playing in my country, and that has really given my country such a kind of an ugly and a very bad stance in the societal world in global looking. I mean, we are not looking that good and perfect. But the thing is, I mean, we understand that most of our leaders in question back home, they have what it takes in question to fix this whole thing. They have exactly
Right.
the experience is there. Most of them has lived in the Western world before. They are so schooled. I understand. I mean, Nigerians. I mean, we're well schooled anywhere we do perfectly well. But the thing is, I mean, we try to imbibe our intelligent network into the negative factor. I mean, we don't put it up into a positive factor. For how to do that, I mean, we are going to be, I mean, imagine such a giant of Africa in question that's still struggling to make ends meet. That is so bizarre. So I believe Trump presidency might really, I mean, go a long way to helping us, I mean, to see exactly how to shape things out. And, if the
Hmm.
issue of terrorism is being combated and probably some of the corrupt, I mean, members in question out there have been, I mean, fizzled out and, things are really going to, I mean, shape up and look much better. I'm not saying the current president in question, which is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I'm not saying he's not pulling his socks. One thing people should understand is exactly that, I mean, a lot of things has gone wrong. It takes a lot of time to put things into place. And that is
Yeah.
exactly what America is running out from. Because when a country start going into a kind of dwindling position, if you start going to a negative function, it takes a long time to bring it up again one step forward. So you need to be
Hmm.
very careful in this stance. At inception in Nigeria, we thought probably, okay, things are going to get better. We keep looking up that things are going to get better in much years to come. But as it keep going on, I mean, we keep getting into the same deep hole. And that is exactly what America is not going to do. So I believe Trump's position in this question is going to help to see exactly how Nigeria is going to shape up with the relationship he's having with, I mean, the leaders of Nigeria. And I believe he has a very strong ties with our leaders. I mean, things are really going to look good.
Yeah. Because Africa's been looking good. A lot of country has been interacting in Africa because you have such a young population, and of course, you've always had all the natural resources. But there's a lot going on there. Real interesting. Well, in closing, guys, what do you have to say, Sydney?
Yes, I mean, just quite interesting one. I mean, it's say thank you once again for having me in the podium, and the whole thing is quite interesting. I mean, it's good to know exactly where people stand. It's good to, I mean, sample people's opinion and know exactly where we should be falling into, or put some people into great perspective, just as Lerom has just done. I mean, giving us exactly guidelines of exactly what is in expectations of exactly what the Trump governance is about being, because he has been there before in so many folds, and I believe he's still there. He has that bird eye view of giving us a clear picture of exactly what is expected. So, I mean,
Right.
this is a very good podcast. I mean, I mean, I really appreciate it that much. It gives me that bird eye view to know exactly that, yes, I mean, United States is going in for a more classic and better ground.
Right. And we're going to have more podcasts. And Mr. Brown?
yes, ma'am. I just like to say this. The reason why I like this is because everybody have different opinions. Everybody's focus on it. But I think when you take you listen to everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're from creed, background, whatever. You just listen to the people, hear what the people say as a whole. Like, this is how we come together. We don't need to stab each other in the back because we have difference of opinion, difference of political views. That's probably another reason why I believe he got in office on a landslide, because we don't have to close the mouths of other people who have different opinions. We share ideas, we make common ground, and we work through it, because at the end of the day, we're all American citizens. Regardless of who won the election, we need them to win on the behalf of the people, because if the president wins, the American people win. Okay. Uh, we need to just be loving, be at peace with each other, accept different opinions, accept different beliefs, and have conversations, not create war with amongst ourselves as American citizens. And that's my closing statement. Thank you.
I agree. I think we need community. I think if we all come together, something little like having a picnic. People don't go to park anymore. The family don't go to park anymore, and I miss those days. I feel blessed that I grew up in those days where we had family picnics and family outings, and that's just something you don't see very often. And I think that's why we're so fractured and so divided, because we don't come together on the little things, such as
Yeah.
family, such as having meals together, sitting down, talking together, just having a good conversation. You can be angry with your sister or your mom, but when it came time to sitting down at the table, everybody was in the same spirit. So I think if we get back to community, it's going to reflect in a lot of things we do. And hopefully, it's going to put an end to some of this violence with these young people. Those are the
Yes.
ones we have to save. That's the question. How are we going to save them? You know, we can only save them by living by example. Okay. Because I think we all have lost our way, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm just like Sydney say, it didn't happen overnight and it's not going to, be resolved overnight, but we got to start somewhere because this is a scary world, very scary, and it shouldn't be that way, but it
Yeah.
is. So now
I'm gonna
we
say
have
this,
to,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we
I'm
have
gonna
to
say
do
this.
something about it.
It
Hmm.
starts in the house. Okay.
Yeah,
Everything starts in the house. From the house to the neighborhood. We've grown up to this. We know that we had, even when I was younger, the village raising the kid. We wasn't afraid that our next door neighbor might do something crazy to the family's kid.
right.
As a majority, because people checked each other. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, it starts in the house, then it goes to the neighborhoods, then it goes to the city. But the people have to be more involved, just like it was back when we actually had uh, strongly built family households who knew everybody in the neighborhood, who knew their kids. And
Right.
once you go there, you create a better society. And when we come to, first of all, come together, that's the first thing. And we start to
Hmm.
create, that's how we build and that's how we make different changes in our neighborhood. And it gets to all the way up there to the people of power, because now they
Right.
understand that we have more productive people. This is that's around and knows how things operate because they're in the fields. So say that.
It's been great until we meet again, and I hope that soon, Mr. Sidney, you join us again. We really enjoyed you,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
enjoyed your
Oh yeah,
perspective. It's
very
nice
much
seeing you
enjoyed it.
too.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I mean, thanks for having you guys again.
Yes, we're going to do this again.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
You have a good weekend. Don't work too hard. Neither one of y'all don't work too hard, okay?
Thank you.
I'm the one going to work tomorrow.
Thank you.
All righty.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So we could give you hundreds of clips like that.